I never said it out loud, not even once. But inside my heart, I judged every choice she made. I watched her life from a distance and told myself I would never live like that. I believed strength looked different. I believed love should be louder. I believed pain should be handled quietly and quickly, like cleaning a spill before anyone notices. She stayed when I thought she should leave. She forgave when I thought she should walk away. She stayed silent when I thought she should finally speak up. I remember sitting alone at my kitchen table one evening, stirring my tea long after it had gone cold, shaking my head softly and saying to myself, I don't understand why she lets them treat her like that. At the time, I thought I was being honest. I thought I was being wise. What I didn't realize was that I was being protected by a life that hadn't tested me yet. She was my sister-in-law, older than me, quieter than me. She had married into the family years before I did, back when expectations were heavy and emotions were rarely discussed. By the time I came into the family, she already carried a history in her eyes. Not the kind you tell stories about, the kind you learn to live with. She was polite in a way that felt careful. She smiled often, but softly, as if she didn't want to take up too much space. She cooked meals without being asked. She cleaned even when guests were still sitting around talking. She remembered birthdays. She remembered allergies. She remembered who liked their tea strong and who liked it sweet. Yet, no one seemed to remember her. Sometimes, during family dinners, I would watch her sit at the far end of the table, waiting until everyone else had served themselves before she reached for her plate. Her food was often cold by the time she began eating. If her husband spoke sharply to her, it was never loud enough to cause a scene, just quiet enough to sting. Why did you do it this way? You should have asked first. She would nod, lower her eyes, and say the word that always bothered me. I'm sorry. I hated that word on her lips. I hated how easily it came out. People said she was too soft, too emotional, too willing to please. She needs to stand up for herself, someone once whispered near me. She lets people walk all over her. I nodded back then. I believed that too. I grew up believing strength meant speaking clearly, protecting yourself, not allowing anyone to cross your boundaries. I told myself I would never become like her. I told myself love should not require silence. When I married, I believed I had found something different, something safer. In the beginning, my husband listened. He cared. He asked what I thought. He noticed when I was tired. I felt chosen, respected, and for a while, I was. But life has a quiet way of changing people. Stress enters slowly. Responsibilities pile up without asking permission. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel. The comments started small. So small I barely noticed them. You're overthinking. It's not that serious. You're too sensitive. I told myself it was normal. Everyone has moments. Everyone gets tired. Then came the expectations. Not spoken, just understood. Dinner should be ready. The house should feel calm. Problems should not be brought up too often. I began choosing peace over conversation, silence over explanation. One evening, I caught myself saying something that made my chest tighten. I'm sorry. The word slipped out so easily that it scared me. I saw her face in my mind, her quiet apologies, her lowered eyes. I pushed the thought away quickly. I told myself I was different. I told myself this was temporary. But life continued. When his family needed help, I showed up. When plans were made without me, I adjusted. When my feelings felt heavy, I carried them alone. Slowly, the space for my voice became smaller. Not because anyone demanded it, but because silence felt easier than explaining myself again and again. I started to understand how someone could disappear without leaving. How a person could still be present and yet unseen. I saw my sister-in-law less often, but when I did, our eyes met in a way they never had before. There was no judgment there, only recognition. Still, I judged her choices in quiet ways. But now, the judgment had softened. Now, it came with questions. Then one afternoon, something inside me shifted. It was a simple day, rain tapping gently against the windows. The house felt heavy, even though nothing was wrong on the surface. I tried to express something small, just a feeling I had been carrying. My husband sighed, not angrily, just tired. "Can we not do this today?" he said. That was all. I nodded. I walked away. I went into the bathroom and locked the door. I sat on the floor with my back against the tub and cried quietly, afraid even my tears were too loud. And in that moment, I finally understood her. I understood why she stayed quiet, why she chose peace over explanation, why she endured. She wasn't weak. She was surviving. She wasn't choosing pain. She was choosing stability. She wasn't blind to what was happening. She was careful. For the first time, I asked myself something I had never considered before. What if I wasn't stronger than her? What if I had just been luckier? After that day, something changed inside me. Not my life, but my heart. I stopped judging her choices. Instead, I saw the weight behind them. One afternoon, I visited her. We sat in her kitchen with cups of tea between us. The room was quiet. No advice. No fixing. Just presence. After a while, she spoke softly, almost like she was speaking to herself. "You learn which battles cost too much." I nodded, tears filling my eyes. "I used to think you should have left," I admitted. She smiled gently, without hurt or anger. "I used to think that too." There was no bitterness in her voice, only understanding. That was the moment I realized how lonely her journey must have been. How unseen, how judged, and how often endurance is mistaken for weakness. Life humbled me. It taught me a lesson I thought I already knew. I judged her choices until life placed me in her exact position, until silence made sense, until patience became survival. Now, when I see someone staying quiet, staying gentle, staying longer than expected, I do not judge. I listen, because sometimes strength does not shout. It stays. And sometimes understanding only comes when life gently asks us to walk the same road.